and welcome to the show. This is the Cult of Conspiracy, and my name's Jonathan.
I'm Jacob.
And today we have on Flat Earther David Weiss. I mean, this dude is known all throughout Flat Earth Kingdom. David, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for the kind words.
Of course. I mean, look, Jacob here is a hardcore Flat Earth denier, and I figured we had to get the GOAT of Flat Earth on the show. If anybody's going to prove him wrong, if anybody's going to change his mind, it's going to be you, Dave.
Cool. I'm down. I heard that Jacob, right? Jacob has said if you convince him the Earth is flat, that he's going to get a flat Earth tattoo.
That's not a problem. Like straight up on my shoulder, whole shoulder blade.
I know. I've already designed some for you. I think. Let me show you what I got here. I got this one right here, Flat Earth Podcast, right? And we have the nice Flat Earth map, and we can make the belly button your North Pole if you like.
I'm not even mad at that because he's way more swole than I am.
Yeah. And then the other option is a little different. It's a tramp stamp with me. That'll be me, okay? And I think that's the one that I'm going to vote for.
Wow. I'm good with either one of those. Let's make that happen today.
Could you imagine the next time I go to like swim or anything and like, who's the dude in a hoodie on your back? Like, look, bro, it's a long story.
I'm a flat earther.
I'll just send you a link. It'll make a lot more sense into this, man.
Now, Dave, I believe you said if anybody could prove to you otherwise, you would be willing to have something for them, right?
3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Okay. And now I'm a guy that has proven already that he's willing to change his lifelong beliefs based on new information. So a lot of globers will go, oh, you flat earthers, you'll never change your mind. No, we already changed our mind. We were in your globy, ridiculous, helio-nonsensical world, but then we actually looked, rather than listening to a guy in a bow tie that lies, and we actually held their evidence, which is none, to the fire, feet to the fire, and that's how you become a flat earther, when you actually are forced to look. I didn't go into this willingly. I went into this screaming and kicking like, you guys are fucking idiots. The Earth is not flat. You're retarded, and I'm going to prove it to you. And that's how you first reject the globe, and then you're like, holy crap, it's flat. Now, wait, what does flat mean? Flat is not a shape. The Earth is obviously not flat. Hills, valleys, mountains, canyons. The Earth is a level, horizontal plane, and that could be described as flat, okay? Flat Earth has been weaponized like conspiracy theorists, as you guys well know, and but I embrace it because the Earth is flat. It's not moving. Every test for rotation, for axial rotation, or for any movement at all, or for curvature has failed and proven the opposite. So we admit that we don't know a whole lot of what this realm is. Well, and there's different flat Earth understandings. Like, is there a dome? Is it flat? Is it round? How big is it? Is there more land? Is there not more land? Is this it? Is there other worlds? We can all have these discussions, but we all know that the heliocentric globe, burning balls in hydrogen in space, is impossible. Absolutely physically impossible. And once you accept that, then your whole world changes. And what difference does it make? I still got to go to work on Monday. Well, guess what? Today's Monday and I'm not at work. Okay, my life changed. Is today Monday? I have no idea what today is. Is today Monday?
Yeah, today's Monday.
All right, fantastic. I don't have to go to work. All right. And I used to say the same thing. That was I used to say, I still have to go to work. Well, something changed in my life. Okay. And it's different for everybody, but flat earthers are never bored. Where the flat earth is taking off incredibly. There's so many of us now, and it's literally hockey sticking right up. And I believe that flat earth is the key to regaining our freedom. What do I mean by that? Like, how the hell does the shape of the earth get our freedom back? The answer is because if you believe that you are spinning out of control, right? That you're corkscrewing through space. Where the hell was that perfect transition I had? Here we go. If you believe that you're corkscrewing through space like this, in an infinite space vacuum, in a godless or distant god universe, where an asteroid could take you at any moment, a our sun could supernova or red dwarf or whatever other nonsense, that we're running out of fuel or afraid of nuclear bombs. All of this stuff keeps you in a state of fear, disconnects you from who you are. And so, and you can believe anything. You can believe that a boogeyman is flying through the air and it's going to find a way around your little paper mask and kill you. Okay. It's all complete and total nonsense.
It does make an interesting case, because you're looking at this and you wonder, okay, not only could something hit us along this path right here, that it's going just spiraling out of control like that, but how are we not blasting into other planets going at that speed? Or others?
So listen to this. I'm going to tell you a crazy fucking story. All right. This is the heliocentric story. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded and became everything. Okay, cool story. We'll just go with it. And then all of the rocky bits started turning into perfect balls, and all of the gases started condensing onto each other to make even bigger burning hydrogen nuclear furnace balls. Okay, leaving a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Leaving a vacuum in between. So now we got rocky balls that have some gravity, bigger gassy balls that have more gravity. They're holding on to each other. They go into these perfect, predictable orbits. And all of these planets are on the same plane. They're all going like this, right? Chasing the sun on the same plane. And we can predict where they're going to be for hundreds and hundreds of years, okay? Or forever. We can predict where they were, where they're going, okay? There's a thing called the three-body problem, right? This is a problem that we have today, where our best supercomputers cannot predict more than two bodies. You put, they get a model, you put a sun in there, and you put a planet, you put it in orbit, say it's got this much mass, and you can predict where it's going to be forever. You can say, all right, tomorrow, next week, 10 years, and you know exactly where it's going to be. You add a third body, another planet, another moon into that system, and no supercomputer in this world can figure out where it's going to be in 10 minutes. Okay? The entire thing goes into chaos mode. Well, I think we have more than three bodies in our solar system and our galaxy. Okay? And these things are going all over the place. But if you go out tonight, look at the stars at 10 o'clock, midnight, whatever, and draw a little chart. Then next year, same night, same time, set a little thing in your calendar to go out, look at the stars, bring out your star chart. Every single star will be in the exact same position. That's like throwing a rock at a beehive, taking a picture of it, then doing it again a week later and throwing a rock at it and taking a picture, and every bee is in the same place, or a year later, or whatever. It's absolute insanity once you think about it. And then and at some point, you're going to go, why the lie? Why the lie? Well, I halfway told you already. Why the lie is because they're controlling our mind, right? They're keeping us in fear, and they're making us they're allowing us to willingly give our free will away. They're allowing us, because they're not allowed to take it. We have free will. That's something very important to remember. They're taking it from us, and they're not breaking any karmic laws in their book. All right, it's a fine line. So the last thing I'll say, and I'll throw it back to you, is the movie The Matrix. I call it a documentary with Keanu Reeves. Remember when Keanu at the beginning of the movie, he's depressed, something's wrong with the world, he can't figure it out, he's sleeping a lot. And then look at Neo at the end of the movie, where he's unplugged from the Matrix. He can see the world for what it is. And he's a much more powerful, connected, aware, fulfilled human being. And it doesn't matter the shape of the world, the state of the world. He's really, look at yourself. Put the Keanu, the Neo at the beginning of the movie and the Neo at the end of the movie. Put them next to each other. Which one do you want to be? Well, flat earthers are the one at the end of the movie, because we're unplugged. The heliocentric system is the Matrix. It's a prison for your mind to steal your life away.
Okay, so to a couple of points that you made.
Go.
One, you talking about the example with the beehive and throwing a rock at it. I feel like that's kind of a contrived example, because bees are constantly moving. You can't take a picture of a beehive and 5 minutes later take a picture of it, even when you didn't affect any of it, and it will be different.
Yeah. Right? So let me just respond to that, and then you can continue. The three-body problem. We had a planetary alignment like a month ago where all the planets were in alignment. So you mean to tell me that the sun can hold on to the Earth and Saturn and Jupiter and all the way out to Pluto, but all of the planets could hold on to their moons. And for some reason, when they all line up, none of their gravities interact with each other. The sun's gravity, when the moon is coming around towards the sun, it doesn't speed it up. And when it's going away from the sun doesn't slow it down. It doesn't, because it has no effect on it. And the global argument is, well, it's too close to Earth, and the Earth's gravity negates the sun's gravity. That's bullshit. Okay, that is just bullshit. Good.
When the planetary alignment happened, this was around the winter solstice, if I'm not mistaken.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. Go ahead.
But they had record tidal surges, not tidal waves. Nobody like had flooding by any means, but the oceans were at a higher point then than they've been in decades, because multiple planets' gravities were feeding off each other to raise our sea levels.
So hang on. That's a great comment. I don't know if that's true, but let's assume it's true because it makes a lot of sense. But in reality, the high tides are because, first, there's not a direct correlation to the tides to the moon. There's high tides at all different times, and there's no tides in certain places of the earth. And it's not correlated to the moon. Now, when the moon is full, we do have bigger tides. Well, if you understand that the moon, the sun, the planets are not rocky balls floating in infinite space, because space isn't what they tell us, that these are energetic, non-physical lights in our sky. And we can get into what they are, what they do. I think they're all part of the living Earth system, and so are we. That's when a full moon will create a bigger tide because it's powered up. The moon is not reflecting sunlight. The moon is giving its own light, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. Okay, so when there's a new moon and the moon and the sun are on the same side of the Earth, well, there should be huge tides because the sun and the moon's gravity is pulling at the waters supposedly, but that doesn't happen. And the whole tide thing. Listen to this. This is the gravitational model of the tide. Okay, if my head was the moon, we have a high tide over here. This is the tidal bulge right here. This is what Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor, says causes the tides. So the gravity from my moon head is pulling the water away from the Earth, creating a bulge. But there's also another high tide over here. He says the gravity of my head is also pulling the Earth away from that water on the other side. Is that retarded? This is go ahead.
Whether the moon is full or not has nothing to do with it. The moon's shape and its mass and its size doesn't change depending on how much of it we can see. It's the moon itself is the moon itself.
Right. But why do we have bigger tides when the moon is full and not when it's new?
Not whenever the moon is full, it's whenever it's closer to the Earth. The moon goes a little closer and a little further away as its orbit goes around the Earth.
So you're saying the gravity of the moon changes as it gets closer to the Earth, and you're talking about the mass of the moon. How do you calculate the mass of the moon?
How do you calculate the mass of it?
Yeah. How do you even know the shape of the moon?
I mean, I can look at it and see that it's at least circular. And I know that there's at least one side that we always see. It's very possible that is actually a semicircle up there, and the back side of it is empty. It's very possible because I can't see that.
Very good. That's awesome that you can understand that. Is this a sphere?
That I mean, from what I can gather from that picture, yes, that would be a sphere.
Well, there's your empty side, that hollow moon, right? Is this one a sphere?
Again, off of my observation alone, it looks like a sphere.
Right.
It could very well be a circle.
It's flat. You're very good at this. How about this one? Right. Is this one a sphere?
Could be.
Okay.
Could be.
But you'll see that this is concave. So we don't even know if the moon is a physical thing. Okay. And if you want, let's stick on the moon for a little bit. And don't forget, I keep interrupting you because if you throw out a whole bunch of things, I won't be able to respond. So don't let me throw you off track. The moon itself, the light from the moon makes no sense on Earth. Okay. Because you know what the inverse square law of light is? You don't have to, because I didn't know it. I didn't know it when I first learned about this stuff. So they don't teach it in school. The inverse square law of light says that when anything, that light that's traveling, every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness. Or every time you half the distance closer, it's 4 times as bright. So if we're looking at a full moon, and we'll call it 1 lumen, all right? So this moon here is 1 lumen from Earth. I could read by it in the middle of nowhere. It's casting my shadow on the ground. It's bright enough to cast my shadow on the ground. If I go halfway to the moon, it's now 4 lumens. If I cut that distance in half, 16 lumens. Cut that in half, 64. If I go all the way to 100 miles from the moon has to be, I think it's tens of millions or hundreds of millions of lumens, which is brighter than we see the sun from Earth. Okay, so in order for the moon to be the distance they say 238,000 miles away, right? Meanwhile, we can zoom in with our P900 cameras and see amazing details, and see the same amount of detail when we're zooming in 20 miles away, to a city skyline. If in order for that to be that bright, according to the heliocentric model, it has to be brighter than the friggin' sun when you're 100 miles away. And that doesn't fit with the model at all. So you got to throw the whole thing out. The whole thing is complete and total bullshit. And the other thing is, when there's a new moon, you don't see it. Now, the Glober says, well, that's because it's right in front of the sun. The sun's so bright that you can't see the moon. But when there's a total eclipse of the sun, right, where we have the ring of fire, well, you should be able to see the moon, because the earth shine, just like the moonshine lights up the earth shine, which is 6 times brighter, 6 times bigger, at least 6 times more powerful, should light up the moon. And with a regular camera, with your naked eye, or even an infrared camera, you should be able to see the details on the moon, but no one's ever seen it. So what is it? It's not there. It's not in front of the sun. The entire model falls apart when you start holding these things down to scrutiny.
Let me ask you now, as far as eclipses go, because you brought that up, right?
Sure.
So when we have lunar eclipse, the Earth passes, according to the heliocentric model,
very good,
the Earth between the sun and the moon, and we have a shadow cast on the moon, right?
That's what they tell us.
Okay. That being the case, how is it that we have a round circular shadow rather than a flat shadow?
Okay, so first the thing is, this is programmed response number eclipse number B2, I'll call it. Where we're told that only a ball, Bill Nye has rubbed this in everyone's brains, only a ball can cast a circular shadow every time onto another ball. And if it was a disc, it would be like this, an eclipse like that. Well, when no one's saying the Earth is a disc, no one on flat Earth is saying that the Earth is causing the eclipse. And another thing is, you can do this experiment yourself. Go in a dark room, get a single source light, they make that your sun, and then get 2 balls, a basketball, maybe a golf ball or a baseball or whatever, and cast a shadow onto the ball. And really a weird thing happens. When you do it with a ball onto another ball, the shadow becomes straight. Only if you use a flat, like the edge of a book, right, will it carve a curved shadow. But I'm not even saying that happens. The problem is a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth and the sun and moon are all in alignment. Okay, but this has been documented over 50 times. It's called the Seleninian eclipse, where the observer, who's always at the top of their Earth view, can see the sun and the moon both above the horizon, which says the Earth is not in line with it yet, but the eclipse already starts. Now, use your brain here. If the sun is on my right side above the horizon, the moon is on my left side above the horizon. Well, the Earth is not in between yet, so it can't be casting a shadow. But as they become in alignment, the shadow should come in from the bottom. But the last eclipse we had, the shadow came in from the top, and both were above the horizon during the eclipse. This 100% eliminates the idea that it's the Earth causing the shadow.
That's not my question. Okay. All right. And then I'm not saying that the Earth is a flat plate, a circular plate. I don't, according to your model, it could be whatever shape, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, going off of the flat Earth model, how the sun is more or less like a spotlight, right? And it rotates around our equator, and the moon.
That's simplified. Go ahead.
All right. Fair enough. I know I'm like super dumbing it down here, but bear with me.
I appreciate it.
So how does the sun and moon and Earth, if the sun and moon are both looking down at Earth, correct, give or take, how does the shadow that's cast on the moon even come at all if there's nothing blocking it from the sun's rays in the first place, according to the flat Earth model?
Yeah, so this entire eclipse thing, the sun and the moon that we see aren't physical. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, they're being, for lack of a better word, projected into our personal dome of vision. And I'm not the person that there's some channels like Cami Nodell and Zach, Good Times for All. They've done stuff with polarization, and they did experiments using polarized films, and they create these eclipses. Sometimes the moon turns red during the eclipse. How does that happen? And they say, oh, well, it's because the sun's going through the atmosphere and making the moon red. But the same thing happens when you use polarization. And the these polarized filters will create the same effect from happening. So what is causing the eclipse? And we can prove it's not the Earth. Some people say there's dark bodies up there. There's a black sun. There's all this other stuff. All of these things are interesting. But again, the moon is one of the biggest mysteries on Earth. And, you know, I think it's beyond what any of us are even fathoming. It has to do with, you know, life on Earth and the human reproductive system. But that's another rabbit hole to go down. But the sun and the moon migrate between the tropics, and only when they cross at a nodal point do we sometimes have an eclipse. So here's the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Capricorn is the outer line. And the sun and the moon, this isn't the scale or speed. On the sun and the moon travels every 2 weeks in and out. The sun travels once every 6 months in and out. June 21st, the sun is here. December 21st, the sun is out here. And only when you perfectly calculate, because it is literally a perfect clock, when they cross at a nodal point, do we have this polarization that blocks one out from the other. Again, in my app, there's a whole bunch of videos called eclipses. Watch them. They're not going to tell you exactly what's causing the eclipse, but they are going to show you that the heliocentric explanation is complete and total, absolute nonsense.
See, I could believe as far as how a solar eclipse happens, according to the flat Earth model, when the moon would pass in front of the sun, and we get a solar eclipse. I could at least put the pieces together on that. But that doesn't make sense as far as how a lunar eclipse happens if the flat Earth model is true. I don't understand this.
Yeah, well, as I explained, and the videos under eclipses on the frequently asked questions section will explain it much better than I just did. But I just explained that it cannot be the Earth. It has to do with polarization. Again, we can spend 5 hours discussing it here, or you can go watch a few videos and then make up your own mind and do your own experiments, and you'll see that okay, there's something to it. Listen, looking up at the sky, trying to explain the lights in the sky that no one has ever proven are even physical is no way to prove the shape of the Earth. Look at the lights in your ceiling right now and tell me what shape your floor is by describing the lights. It has nothing to do with it.
Okay, so then to that point, I would like to bring up the experiment done by Eratosthenes.
Eratosthenes.
Eratosthenes in 240 BC. You already know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
I'm sure you're familiar with this experiment. For all of our cult members who are not familiar, let me give you a brief cliff notes of what happened. All right. Eratosthenes was also the librarian of the Library of Alexandria at the time. He conducted an experiment because at the time there was Cyan, which now is Agua. It's a city in Egypt. During the summer solstice, there is no shadow that is cast at high noon. For this, he also went and did the same experiment with a stick. He cast a shadow at high noon in Alexandria. He was able to take the distance of that shadow and guesstimate the degrees of roundness of the Earth and projected, and if I'm not mistaken, he was off by 1%, guessed the circumference of the Earth based off these shadows.
Yeah, something like that.
Been understood and accepted as far as the educational community goes throughout all of the Muslim Enlightenment, throughout all of the Middle Ages, that the Earth was round. Then it became the big point of if the Earth was actually the center of the universe or not. That's why Copernicus and Galileo got put on house arrest, because they were going against the church by saying the sun was the center of the universe. To that point, what is your answer to this experiment?
Very good. Awesome question. And I'm going to give you a lot of information. And so open up your mind. And I'm going to ask you a question here, which isn't really fair. Have you ever met any of those men that you just talked about? Or did you hear about them in books presented to you by the Rockefellers education system?
Okay, that's a fair point.
Okay, so all of these guys here, these are the guys that all proved the globe. Back in Galileo, he built a telescope by polishing glass and putting it in like a wood tube or something that could see details on Mars that today's best optics can't see. That sounds like a made-up story. Eratosthenes, 2,000 years ago, is a mathematician that figured out that the Earth is spherical and the size. He is the Michael Jordan of mathematics. But there's a whole bunch of mathematicians and other people that wrote books coming out of those areas over the centuries later, and none of them ever mentioned Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes was only mentioned as doing this experiment in the 1900s. 1900s, an awful long time to get acknowledged for your work when he's long dead. So here's the question. Eratosthenes back then believed that the Earth was geocentric. Okay, that means the little Earth is the center, and the sun, a distant, and we call it an infinite distant because the sun is so far away that the rays are parallel, is circling the Earth. Well, that makes absolutely no sense, right? He assumed that all of the sun rays come in parallel when nobody ever has seen parallel rays come into Earth, okay? So he assumed that there were parallel rays for some reason. Now people say, well, they're refracted. Well, if they're refracted or coming in parallel, either way, they're not. They're not. So
then how does solar panels work?
How do what?
Solar panels work off of
Yeah. Let's get into. It's a great question. Write it down. Don't forget it, please. Okay. So Aristophanes assumed that there was parallel rays coming in, so he could do his experiment. So you would agree that if the sun is above you and there's no shadow anywhere going left, right, forward, or backwards, that the sun is at 90 degrees right above you, right? That's the premise of his experiment, right? You with me?
Right, with you.
Okay, so this is Aristophanes here in Greece, wherever he was, and the sun rays are coming in parallel to the Earth, and then his buddy 500 miles away, who walked there counting the paces, figured out he's 500 miles away, and somehow they communicated. He, at the same time, had his stick, and they can figure, okay, well, we know the length of the shadow, do some really good spherical geometry, and figure out the circumference of this sphere. Awesome. Math is perfect, right? He's just interpreting his data wrong. On a flat Earth with a small local sun, here it is. Sun is 90 degrees above Aristophanes. He's got no shadow. His buddy, 500 miles away, the sun's kind of off to the side. Well, he has the same stick and shadow length, and he does some spherical math, perfect math, to show the circumference of this flat plane. Okay? This is a faulty experiment. And by the way, it doesn't prove the Earth is flat or a globe. It doesn't prove either because it works perfectly in both models, other than the fact that if we lived on a ball with a distant sun spinning in a space vacuum, we'd all be dead. It does work. So this is something that has been drilled into our heads as proof when the globers don't even use this anymore because they know it works on a flat Earth.
Okay,
right?
That's fair.
And this is something that you can do at home. I mean, just put a couple 2 beer bottles out and put a light over one. One of them doesn't have a shadow, the other one has a shadow. Well, that means that your table or your floor is spherical. Makes no sense.
Okay, that's fair. But even Plato and Pythagorean themselves acknowledged that this experiment was good, and they even did their own math and their own experiments and indicated the Earth is round.
So I wrote a book. Actually, my great uncle wrote a book saying that elephants could fly if they flap their ears fast enough. And 2 other guys wrote a book saying that my uncle's book has to be true because they saw it themselves. Okay, does that proof of anything? I mean, you're saying that these made up characters that are told to us by the Rockefellers, education system or indoctrination system, because one guy lied and 3 guys backed up his lie makes it true. No ruling class will ever educate their people enough to challenge their ruling over them. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. This is all about mind control. In school they told us that we only use 10% of our brain, right? Remember that in school? That is the goal of the education system, to make you shut down all of your other connections, your connection to nature, your connection to the creator, your connection to being able to manifest things with your thoughts. They want to shut all that down and put you into this heliocentric slave system where you have to work for a living and pay for free energy. And
just like earlier, how does a round versus flat Earth affect their bottom dollar? How does that affect that at all? Either way it goes, you still have to pay tax. You still have to go to work, whether it's round.
So what you don't understand is you don't have to do any of those things. Okay, you don't have to do anything if you understood the law. If you understood that nobody has any authority over you, because you believe that you're on a ball spinning through outer space and you're in fear. That you give up your will and your freedom. You give it up by allowing someone else to control you. When somebody says you're not allowed to go outside, you're on lockdown. Well, the only control anyone has over you is in your imagination. And they've got us imagining a lot of crazy shit. They have us imagining that nuclear bombs are real. Well, that puts fear, false evidence appearing real into every cell in your body, right? And then you're operating under that belief system, and you've literally given away 90% of your power.
You don't believe nukes are real?
So here's the thing. We're not going to get into it here, but I'm going to tell you exactly where to get the information. And in 1 2-hour podcast, you will have all of the information to not believe, but to completely understand the nuclear lie. When you say, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people lived there. 3 days after the bombs went off, the sandwich shops were open. They were selling flowers on the streets. The trains were running. People were back to work. And only one guy was allowed to take pictures and write any articles. One guy selected by the government, right? And anyone else that took a picture or wrote an article was put in jail for a very long time. So there is plants, people, and animals living in Hiroshima and Nagasaki always have been. They have less cancer than we have here in the United States. And then you get into Fukushima and Chernobyl, 2 more complete and total hoaxes. There's plants, people, and animals thriving there still to this very day, right? It's all about fear, false evidence appearing real. And they steer your mind with the news, north, east, west, south. Okay, this is all about controlling you through fear, through lack. We're running out of water. We're running out of food. We're running out of land. All of that is nonsense. They say there's 7.8 billion people. I think it's closer to 2, maybe 3 billion people. Okay, maybe even less. I don't know. And if you gave every family in America a half an acre in Texas, Texas would still have a lot of free land. If you gave every family in the world an acre in Australia, half of Australia would be empty. Okay, so there's all of this stuff is nonsense. And then, we're pulling oil out of the ground, supposedly dinosaur juice, taught to us by the Rockefellers, right? Which is nonsense. All of the empty oil wells are full again. The Earth is a living system. There's free energy here. Once you start looking into Tartaria and these buildings that are living buildings sending free energy, this rabbit hole is so deep that most people are afraid to go down it. Like if you went to, there's a little rabbit hole, I can reach to the bottom and find the information. That's cool. This rabbit hole is so massive and there's no bottom to it that some people are afraid to even look down it. And so their egos come in play and stop them. Belief is easy, right? I don't think I told you where I live. I live in Connecticut. You now have a choice. You can believe I live in Connecticut. Great. You're done. Your day's over. Go smoke a joint, take a nap. Right? Or you can do some research, go on Facebook and say, oh, look, his friends are all in Connecticut. And, oh, I found his high school. He did go to a high school in Connecticut. He must live in Connecticut. Now you know I live in Connecticut. All right? But belief is the enemy of knowing. Ego is the protector of that knowing. And our entire life from childhood is built around this heliocentric system because it is the biggest lie. It's the lie that puts our mind in a prison. It's the matrix for our mind. And once our mind is locked in that ball and we can't see it any other way, we will fight to protect that ball. Okay? And good.
You're more a believer of seeing, not believing. So that's more of a sathetic astronomy view to it.
I do too. So go ahead. Sorry, I think I know where you're going, but go ahead. You first.
But that being the case, that I've also heard people say, like, how do you know that Alexander the Great conquered the land he did? Were you there? Did you see it?
No,
right?
I don't know. And once you start looking into Tartaria, you'll find out that anything before 1800 is a lie, right? The Wild West is a lie, right? There was an advanced civilization living here that got almost wiped out in sometime in the late 1800s, sometime around the late 1800s. That's not that long ago, okay?
Hold on, you're saying that everything before the 1800s was a lie?
I'm saying everything before the 1950s is a lie, okay? It is unbelievable. They were teaching flat Earth here to everyone in every public school in the 1920s, okay? I interviewed a woman named Ruth, 102 years old, in February of 2020, and she was taught in Hamden Public School in Connecticut that the Earth was flat, and then they changed it some years later. We found other people that said in other countries they were teaching through the 1930s and 40s, and I met a man in Mexico just recently that said he was taught, I think he was in Canada, when he was in the 1950s, that late 50s and early 60s, they were teaching both heliocentrism and flat Earth because they didn't know, okay? But then the Rockefellers came in, eliminated flat Earth like the friggin' Mandela effect, and it's gone. And now, science, NASA, when you get into it, it's very interesting, fascinating topic. Here's the thing, last thing, and I'm sorry for talking so much, but you cannot believe anything I'm telling you. I'm going to give you so much information today. I'm going to give you a way to easily access it. And then you need to spend the time verifying this shit yourself. Don't believe me. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That's kind of the way we run our podcast as well. We give nuggets of information, and we hope that our cult members out there will go and do the research themselves. And we also like to get proven wrong, even though we haven't been yet. But I mean,
well, one of you has. One of you haven't yet.
Not yet. Not yet. You haven't given me any compelling arguments to make me feel like the Earth is definitely flat. But I have a few more points I want to bring up, and maybe you'll change my mind. I don't know.
Good.
For that point, as far as teachers teaching kids bad shit, they have teachers right now teaching first graders that there's more than two genders. Just because the teacher says it doesn't mean it's real.
Right, absolutely. We're on the same page. They're teaching heliocentrism, so it doesn't mean it's real. They were indoctrinated. They were great at memorizing and regurgitating, and therefore they became the teachers. Awesome.
And I wanted to also bring up solar panels to you. They operate off of a flat plane. That's why the solar panels have to face the sun at any given point. They're turned a certain way to where they have direct sunlight. They go off of parallel rays. So if the rays aren't parallel, then explain how that works.
No, they don't. They actually, you're talking to the wrong guy, because I was I had a solar power company for a long time. The more direct they hit a solar panel, the more power they make. If they come in at an angle, they don't make as much power. And we do angle them, to get the maximum amount of power depending on your latitude and longitude. But a funny thing about solar panels is scientists don't know how they work. Scientists don't understand how they make electricity. They have a theory that a photon that was born in the middle of the sun 1 billion years ago finally came out to the surface of the sun, flew 8.5 minutes to Earth, hits a boron molecule in a silicon chip, knocks it out of the way, and an electron fills in, and it creates a current, and then they channel all these currents. That's bullshit, okay? The way a solar panel works is it's collecting electricity. What do you mean? The sun is electric in nature. It is sending electricity here. All of the plants, animals, people, everything runs on electricity. We are electrical beings. We are humans. We're light beings, okay? So it's collecting electricity. It's very simple. If they understood that the sun was electric, they go, oh, that's how these panels work. They're actually very simple, right? They're very, very, very simple. And that's how they work. The other thing is, if you look at, remember, we're in this heliocentric, crazy spinning solar system. But we have monuments like this. This monument is oh, you know this one where it lights up it's a war memorial.
Yep.
And so on 11/11 at 11:11 a.m. the sun lines up here in a heliocentric beehive where we're moving 4.5 billion miles from where we were the previous year, never to return. Okay, corkscrewing. How is it possible that the sun is always in the exact same position unless the sky is a perfect clock? Okay. Even in the heliocentric system, they say, oh, Polaris is so far away that that we never see it move. But in 4,000 years, we're going to have a new North Star. And 4,000 years ago, we had another new star. Well, we're corkscrewing through space. These are the Georgia Guidestones I'm sure you guys are aware of, right? You guys know about the Georgia Guidestones?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, conspiracy show. You better, or you're fired. You know about the hole in the center one?
Yep.
So there's a little hole, and when you look through it, you know what you see? You see Polaris, our North Star, which doesn't move. Time lapse, all the stars go around. How is that possible if we're corkscrewing through space? How is Polaris mirroring us, right? With our spin, at all these different latitudes, it lines up perfectly. Now, they say, well, it's so far away that there's no parallax. Even though we're going 4.4 billion miles a year, it doesn't matter because Polaris is so far away, absolutely unbelievable. And that makes no sense at all. But because we're wobbling in 4,000 years, Polaris will have a new North Star. But we just happen to live at the perfect time in between old North Star and new North Star, and we have a North Star. Ridiculous. However, even with that explanation, this has been up for over 40 years. Polaris should have moved almost a full degree by now. And even a half a degree would put it way out of alignment with that hole. But it's still there. It hasn't moved. It's not moving at all because we're not moving. Because the sky is spinning around a center point, and Polaris is almost at that absolute center. Polaris makes a tiny little circle. That circle isn't getting bigger or anything. It's staying exactly how it's always been. Right there. This alone proves that we are not spinning. We are not moving at all. There's no continental drift. There's no earth spin. There's no nothing. We are the basement of the universe, and we are completely frozen. We are completely still.
Explain the zodiac symbols then, because you know that, all right, you know where the zodiac came from, of course, depending on what constellation was on the horizon of the day of your birth between X date and X date. However, those have been changed. If, for instance, I'm Leo, but if you go right now during that time frame, Leo is no longer on the horizon because we have shifted. Those constellations are no longer applicable to what's actually going on in our date because we, as well as the galaxy, have shifted. We are moving through space. Things have shifted.
So yeah, you have to understand the great clock and the great year, which is 25,000 some odd years. I'll get into that in a moment. But this is how the sky works. So here's the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The sun is the hour hand. So wherever the sun is, it's noon. Okay, follow me. So it's nighttime in Australia. The sun is getting closer to Australia, so it's rising. Due to perspective, it's rising, getting higher in the sky. Okay. Now in June, I want to jump forward to June. April, May, June. In June, the sun is over this inner yellow line. That's the Tropic of Cancer. Anything inside of the Tropic of Cancer, I call the Arctic zone. And then this outer line is the Tropic of Capricorn. Anything outside of that, we'll call it the Antarctic zone. The Arctic means the north, and the Antarctic means not the north. Interesting. Okay. So there's a couple things with this. So right now, we're having our summer. The sun goes over, this is June. The sun goes directly over Miami. That's why it's so friggin' hot in Miami. And Miami has an Aristophanes day with no shadows. Okay. And that's why it's hot, because the sun is close. It's winter in Australia because the sun is far away. It's summer in the Arctic area because the sun is close to us. Right. But if I jump 6 months later, the sun moves out to the Tropic of Capricorn. Australia now has their summer. The sun's so far away from us. I'm in Connecticut. It's freezing here, but Florida, it's still warm because they're actually close. The space in between the tropics is called, coincidentally, the tropics. That's where all the tropical places are because the sun passes over them twice a year. It only comes towards us once a year, and then it turns around and goes away. Okay? So that's how I'm going to get to the zodiacs.
South America has winter when we have summer. That's just a continental thing. That's not even a whole hemisphere thing.
No, South America has their winter, their summer, like in December, while we have our winter. That's because the sun is closer to them.
Right.
But that's not in the heliocentric model. Did you know during our summer, the sun is farther away, and during our winter, the sun is closer? Where are you guys? In the north?
We're in Louisiana.
Okay. So you don't even know from winter there. It's summer all the time.
Dude, we got 2 weeks of winter.
Yeah, you get nothing. So here, shit freezes, dude. Water freezes. You breathe in through your nose, and your snot freezes. Okay, it's horrible, right? And that's because the sun is far away. But we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun. 3.5 million miles closer in December. That's complete and total horseshit. And I could absolutely prove that seasons prove the Earth is flat. All right, but let's finish on zodiacs. So the sun laps the moon once every 28 days. All right. So the moon, its position keeps track of the months, the moons. They used to be moons. And as the sun laps it, you'll see that the waxing moon falls farther and farther behind. And so the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. And if I turn on the zodiac, my zodiac moved. Where did it go? There it is. If I turn on the zodiac is going slightly faster than the sun, right? Which means that it'll lap the sun every 365 days, all right? Which means that the sun will slowly drift backwards through each zodiac for about a month. That's how the sun is in a different zodiac each month. And this will repeat after 365 days. Go ahead.
But as far as historically speaking, the ancient Greeks knew that this month to this month was this zodiac, but that's no longer true. We have shifted.
Yeah. No, the rotation of the stars have shifted. The zodiacs wouldn't be the same shape after a day or a week or a year, but for ever as long as recorded history, they've all been the same shape. Even though the Earth is moving 4.4 billion miles a year in just one of the directions it's going, never to return to where it was before. We look up and see all of these stars making the exact same patterns. The stars are fixed in their position. The wandering stars are not. What are wandering stars? Well, they used to be called wandering stars, but now they're called planets. And Disney and NASA tells us that they're actually rocky balls with people living on them, right? It's absolute and complete and total nonsense. Can we talk about seasons for a second?
Sure.
So we're told, here's our Earth, here's our sun, and the Earth is tilted towards the sun during our northern winter, so we get these direct rays. Make sense?
Sure.
When we're tilted away, those rays skim across the Earth more, so the amount of rays per square foot are much less, the intensity of the ray, and that's why we have our winter, right? Do you understand that about seasons?
Yeah,
Okay.
I get that.
Right. So they tell us, if my fingerprint is a direct ray, when I tilt the ball away, my fingerprint is now in a longer, wider fingerprint, and therefore that amount of energy is spread over a bigger distance, and that's why we have seasons. That's what they tell us. Okay, so if the sun is directly above me, right? If the sun is, here's the Earth, right? And let's just say the sun is directly above me. That's 90 degrees directly above me, and there's no shadow. Is that summer or winter? No matter where that happens, it only happens in between the tropics. When the sun creates no shadow over somebody, is that summer or winter, or it could be both?
Well, like you said, it's in the tropics, so they don't exactly have seasons. They have summer year round.
Well, true, but is it summer? Is it when does the sun go directly over them? Like, is it summer for me in the north when the sun is directly over Miami?
Well, like you said, the sun would be over Miami. Miami doesn't exactly have a winter. They don't freeze.
Right. Well, so Miami has their summer. So on June 21st, the sun is directly over Miami, 90 degrees in the air, and that's my summer. Okay, so no problem. So just with me. So that is the directly over. So that means the sun rays are coming in at 90 degrees direct. Okay.
Right.
Now during the winter, the supposedly Miami is tilted farther away, so the sun is lower in the sky, and the rays are spread out a little more, but not too much, where it's still nice and warm in Miami. You with me?
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
So here's a question I have. Here in Connecticut, in the summer, when I see the sun at sunrise, when it's right on the horizon, how many degrees off the horizon is it? Remember, if it was directly above me, that's 90 degrees. So it's all the way down there, right on the horizon, the horizontal horizon. How many degrees is that?
Well, it's kind of a moot point because, like you said, the sun will never be above Connecticut. It will never.
Okay,
be direct.
but it doesn't matter. The point I'm making is, on the horizon, it's not above me. It's on the horizon, so it's like 1 degree. It's like 1 degree versus 90 degrees. 90 degrees. If I'm right here, the sun is 90 degrees above me. Over here, it's 1 degree, right?
Okay.
It's about 1 degree, whatever, 1 degree, 5 degrees, doesn't matter. Okay. Here's the problem. In the summer, when the sun appears on the horizon, I could take my shirt off and get a suntan immediately. I could feel the heat on my face. I could lay down on the beach and take a warm nap. It's beautiful. Okay.
Right.
The sun is 3.5 million miles closer to me. It is the most severe farther from me than it is during our winter. It is on the horizon, so it is a 89-degree tilt away from the sun. Okay. And I can feel the heat on my face and get a tan and soak up some vitamin D. Okay. Then in the winter, when we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun, at noon, when the sun is high in the sky, like 50 degrees in the sky, not as high as 90, but it's like 50 degrees in the sky. It's more than halfway more direct angles. I could look at the sun here in Connecticut and can't feel the heat on my face. I can't get a tan. I don't absorb any vitamin D. And I'm completely looking at a clear sun in a clear day, can't feel the heat on my face. And it's closer than it is in the summer. It's more direct. When you actually let this register in your brain, some people are unable to, not you guys, talking about a not professor guy, you can understand that this completely debunks the seasons model 100%. If the globe model was true, it would be arctically freezing every day at sunrise in the summer.
Well, then also I'd like you to explain the Icelandic issue, or I think Alaska has something similar where they have like 3 weeks of straight sun.
Yes.
And they also adversely have like 2 months of no sun whatsoever. How does the flat Earth model equate for this?
Yeah, perfect question. So let me just see if I can find the right video for you, day and night. So the way it works is the sun sets not because it's going over a physical curve. Mind, we got to get into the requirement of a physical horizon. Because it goes away. So let me pull up another picture real quick. When the sun goes away, it gets lower in the sky, and then it gets hidden behind atmospheric density. So here's streetlights. Your brain knows that they're all at the same level, but they kind of look like they're going down, right?
Yeah, it's called.
And then you can't see, everything merges into the horizon, and you can't see it because the trees get in the way, whatever. Well, here's the sun doing the same thing. It's just going away. And in this atmosphere, as you're looking across the atmosphere, it gets thicker and thicker. Looking up, you're only looking through it a little bit. Looking across, you're looking through all of it. And it becomes opaque, and the sun just goes beyond it, right? So when the sun goes away, it's just moving away from you. So wait, what was your original question? I spaced out for a second.
We're talking about Iceland and Alaska and the Arctic Circle.
Right.
Can have months of sun and then months of dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sun, maybe it's easier to show you on the app real quick.
You brought up perspective and how things go away with depth as they go distance. Because I want to bring up the example about as far as how sailors, as far back as human history, could always tell that the Earth was round, because as you go into the distance, the ship doesn't disappear all at once. It disappears slowly.
You now sound like a flat Earth shill trying to set me up to slam the globe. Okay, don't forget that question, please. Don't forget that question. No. All right, so think about this.
Before we go, how much more time do you have? Because
I'm going to go long. I'm going long, my friend. I'm going long because I want to see that friggin' tramp stamp with me on your back. All right.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So inside of this Tropic of Cancer, we call that the Arctic region. Why is that? Because the sun is arcing around us. Interesting. Let's just hold on to that for a moment. So
it's arcing around.
It's arcing. It's going around us. If you were standing inside that circle, the sun arcs around you. Okay. That's not a theory. That's just a observation. So the circle that this is making is smaller than the Tropic of Capricorn circle, which is a much bigger circle. The sun is traveling a bigger distance. Okay. And the sun is it's still making a circle in the same amount of time, 24 hours, but it's appears to be traveling slower, and it's not moving away as fast. So here in the inner north, in Alaska and in Norway, the sun never gets far enough away from you in June to set. It just doesn't get far enough away. It goes around, and then at midnight, it's midnight in where are we? Where does the sun go? It's over here. So it's midnight in Alaska right now, and it's never far enough to go away. Okay, to set. That makes perfect sense on a flat Earth and makes perfect sense on a globe Earth. Other than if we lived on a globe, we'd all be dead. Okay, so that's in June. Now this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This doesn't, because of different time zones, I'm not able to show it exactly. But in December, the sun never gets close enough. It's like noon in Alaska right now, and the sun isn't close enough. And so Alaska and Norway are in the dark all day long. This makes perfect sense on a globe Earth and a flat Earth.
Okay.
However,
the Earth is between the two tropics, as it does.
Yeah.
And during the day or night time, the long night or the long day, it's basically on the opposite side of it, to where even at high noon, it doesn't have enough.
It's not too far away. It's too far away to see. It's like that street light that's a mile down the road. You never see it.
Like you said, that works on a round and flat Earth model. So
however, if whatever happens at a certain latitude in the north, 6 months later should happen at a certain latitude in the south. However, that doesn't happen. Now, one thing you guys haven't picked up yet is the sun goes around once every 24 hours, but it's traveling more distance here. So it has to be moving linearly faster. Okay. And we can get into that. It's not, don't think of a massive sun speeding up and slowing down, because that's not what it is. It's more of a point of energy. Right. So in December, in June, if we have a 24-hour sun in the Arctic, we should have a 24-hour sun in December in the Antarctic. But guess what? There isn't any. Crow's law of high definition says anything interesting that can be filmed in high def will be filmed in high def. and there's only 3 or 4 completely, totally faked videos, provably fake, of a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We watch the webcams in Antarctica, and we watch the shadows on poles. They go around, and then they jump 10 hours. And then we contacted them, these research stations, and they're like, "Oh, we're saving data. We can't do that. Oh, bandwidth." They made up excuse after excuse after excuse, and they never will show us the sun going around because they can't, because it doesn't. Because in this model, the sun is too, like, if you were over here in Antarctica, the sun's too far away, right? And this is the time where they should have a 24-hour sun. So they do have some extended light. You see how the light kind of wraps around? This has to do with something else that has to do with when the light gets near the dome, it wraps around the dome. And we can show you experiments with light and a glass dome, and the light will wrap around. And that's what's going on here. But again, looking at the sky to prove the shape of the Earth is no way to go. The other problem is there's no 24-hour sun, but excuse me, there is 24 hours of darkness when the sun is over Alaska and they're having 24 hours a day. It's too far from Antarctica to light it up at all. So Antarctica does have 24-hour night when they should. Antarctica has 24-hour nights when they should. The Arctic has 24-hour nights when it should. The Antarctic has 24-hour nights when it should. The Arctic has 24-hour sun when it should. The Antarctic does not. All right. And one more thing. You guys are in Louisiana. So when in June and July, when the sun sets, how fast is it dark? After the sun sets, how long is the sky still lit?
I mean, realistically, when the sun finally goes down the horizon, right?
When it disappears, you see it set from the bottom up.
You might have light for another 30 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Here in the north, here farther north, we have light for 90 minutes. It's still light for in June and July for another 90 minutes. And that's because the sun is kind of not getting far away that fast, right? But at equal latitudes in the south, some places in South Africa, during December, when the sun sets, 5 minutes later, it's pitch black. Pitch black, can't see your hand in front of your face black, okay? Well, why is that? It's because the sun is running away linearly much faster, right? These things should be the same at equal latitudes north and south, but they're not. Okay. 60 degrees north, 60 degrees south, they're not.
So
they're not.
I also want to ask, as far as the sun is concerned, okay? Mm-hmm. So I believe the sun is a giant ball of burning gas. You do not. Fine.
In a space vacuum. Have you ever seen burning gases in a vacuum? Have you ever seen high pressure next to low pressure or no pressure without a physical barrier in any lab or any natural setting? Or do you believe it because some guy in a book told you?
I don't actually believe that space is a vacuum in the sense that we are being told. I think it's more of a fluid. Similarly, think about this.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Hold on. Hear me out. You have a submarine, right? On the surface of the water, everything's fine. The lower you go down in water, the more pressure is going to compact onto the submarine. They have to be built a certain way to withstand that pressure. I think adversely, space operates in the same playing field. I don't believe it's water, but I believe it is some sort of a fluid-like substance. But then in my line of work, a fluid is something that can be flow, give or take. It could be a gas, it could be pellets, it could be a liquid, whatever it is. It can flow from point A to point B through a pipe. That's what we call fluid, right? So I believe that space is a fluid of some type. It may not be on our periodic table.
Like this fluid here in the swimming pool of the space station, right?
Fair enough. Why not? Right.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
I believe that the sun is burning inside of a fluid, but that fluid is also conducive to burning. But again, we could go back and forth on that point. The point I wanted to ask you. So according to the flat Earth model, the sun has more or less directed beams on the equator. It's not a giant ball putting out energy in all directions, right? It's more or less focused its energy on our equator and it rotates.
No, it's focusing its energy everywhere, but it's closer to the equator than it is to Connecticut.
So if the flat Earth model was true, and if the sun is putting out all of that energy at all times, how come the entire Earth is not lit at the same time?
Great question. Because the sun is local, and I will show you. I'll show you some examples of this. So the sun is a local light. All right, I'm going to show you a couple things real quick. as it comes, it brings its light with it. And then as it goes away, it takes its light away. You'll see as the sun, now you have to believe that we're falling forward, or is this light just coming towards us? All right.
I believe, but go ahead.
All right. So, which one is this? So this is the sun setting. It looks like it's setting, but when we zoom in on it, you'll see that this is just perspective and your eyes' inability to see that it's really just going away, right? It looked like it was setting, but as we zoom in, we can see that it's still in the sky. It's still the same height in the sky as it was over our head, but perspective brings it all together. So we're gonna look at good.
If you wait an hour, it will go over the horizon eventually. Yeah, at a far angle with our human eye, the glare alone makes it look like it's setting already. When you zoom in, you see it's still got some time to go.
Yeah, so this is how that works. So these clouds I pasted in here are all at the same height. As the sun just goes away, it looks like it's going down. It's going behind these clouds. Just like it went behind these clouds, it's going behind these ones that are merged in with the horizon, and it's going beyond them. And it looks like it's setting, but it's not. Okay, let me show you how that works. How that works with how our eyes see. What's that?
Okay.
So
you're talking about it going the clouds to hide itself, which I get. We could talk about how they create weather. I agree with this.
No, I'm not talking about that. On a clearest of day, when you look across the sky, and I'm going to show you an example of this, it's going to blow your mind. It becomes opaque. The atmosphere becomes opaque, just like if you're in a pool that's 100 yards long with crystal clear water in it. You go underwater, you cannot see the far wall because light cannot push through. Well, the air is the same thing. The air is a fluid, and it becomes thick. So let's stick with me through this. So these lights are not going, they're all the same height, as you know. So here we are. I got a cumulus cloud. It's 10,000 feet above my head, right? And now there's a deck of them. And as they go into the distance, they look like they're going lower, but they're all at the same height. So here they are getting lower and lower and lower. And we get all the way to the horizon. And I can't see, it merges with the horizon. So if I looked over at this light, this cloud, and I actually pulled a string from my eye to that cloud, I would see a string that's parallel with the water. You with me? You agree with that?
I do not.
I would see a string that's parallel with the water all the way over to that cloud. That's how I would see it. It's not a question. It's actual, what?
If you were to jump 10,000, let's say, okay, like you're talking about, let's say you're, for whatever reason, able to jump time and space for the sake of the experiment. Fine. You look up, you see the cloud, 10,000 feet, give or take. Let's just throw that out as a round number. Fine. You see that same cloud pattern is going down the horizon, and you see it's kind of going towards what we see as our perspective as the horizon. I'm with you. If you were able to jump 10 miles that way, that cloud would be 10,000 feet above your head. It wouldn't be on the horizon.
Correct. So I'm just showing you how our eyes work, and then I'm going to show you how the sun takes its light away. So if I'm literally standing here, and from my point of view, I can actually draw a string from my eye to that cloud. I'm going to see a string that's parallel with the water going all the way to the cloud. That's just the way it is. All right. So now if I move somebody underneath that cloud,
yes,
this person, and they could see the string, they're going to see a string sloping down from 10,000 feet to my eye. They're going to see a string that goes down. Now, if we move this farther forward, this is my level line, right? This guy here, me, I see this line as level. This clouds that are merged with the horizon becomes opaque. And as the sun goes away, it disappears. I can't see through this. This is my horizon here. This is my horizon that's down, and the sun disappears. And in reality, it's really disappearing like this. The sun is going down. It's going down, 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 and it's going beyond that. But it's still at the same height. This is how I see it, but this is an orthographic view. We don't get to see in an orthographic view. We only get to see from our vision. All right. So here's a sunset. This is my simulated sunset. This line is level. Looks like it's going down. This horizon, this cloud deck is at, or mountains or whatever, is at my eye level. This is the real sunset. What's it going behind? This is the atmospheric deck of opacity, and it's going beyond it. That's all. It looks like it's setting below it. And if I zoomed out, you wouldn't even see that line. So real quick, this is a level line. We're looking at it from a celestial point of view, from the height of the sun. I'm just going to jump through this real quick. And I move the line across it. Now I have a camera at the other side of the table on the counter looking up at that line, and I'll show you what that looks like as it goes by. And from the other side, look at this line. It looks like it's going down. And this could be the cloud deck, atmospheric deck, mountains, city skyline, doesn't matter. It never went below that, but now it's going below it, okay? As I jump forward, it's going below. Look at this line. This is a level line, but from a distant point of view, from a terrestrial point of view, it looks like it's going straight down. Here it is again. Here's the real sunset. If I zoomed out, this line, this horizon line right there, merges with that line, and you think the sun is going below a physical ball, right? It's not. It's just going beyond your ability to see. One more, and then I'm gonna. This is the one that's gonna make you scratch your head, at best. So, where is it? Sun. There it is. All right. So this can only be filmed in the winter when it's cold, super clear, no humidity. The sun was way up here. I have my drone as high as I can get it, and the sun went down, 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 down. Now, if the Earth was spinning, it would have to keep on going, but it didn't. The Earth went down, 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 down. I mean, the sun went down, down, and then it stopped, and it sat here for 10 minutes, right? This is super sped up. It's not going down anymore. Did the Earth stop spinning? Where's it going? It's going into the thickness of the atmosphere, and it just goes away. I'll show it again over here, okay? It just sat here. Now, my friends at the beach, going forward and backwards, saw the sun set from the bottom up, just like I showed you in that demonstration 10 minutes earlier. I'm still watching the sun, just sitting there on the horizon. This all has to do with our atmospheric dome, the way we see things, the thickness of the atmosphere, and the sun is going away, taking its light with it.
But that's also why we have colors during sunsets, because whenever you're looking at it on the horizon, I think you're looking through 2 foot of dirt and 6 foot of water.
Sure. Works on a flat Earth, works on a ball Earth, but we'd all be dead if we're on a ball, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so explain that as well. How would we all be dead if we were on a ball?
Because we're in a space vacuum on a ball with water on the outside, which is physically impossible, scientifically impossible. We'd all be dead. That's it. There's no chance that we could live on a ball floating in a space vacuum, right? It's such a silly thing. We'd all be dead. I have a video. I'm going to show you a couple videos that you need to watch on your own. Turn off Netflix for a week. Start watching these videos, and then you'll be like, oh, that's what he was saying. Oh, that's why he keeps saying we'd all be dead. And it'll blow you away. Again, here's another thing with perspective. The atmosphere works like a lens sometimes, right? When there's humidity in the air, that I just showed you, this candle looks like it's going down below the horizon, right? It's not. It's on a flat table, right? But when I showed it to you with no moisture in the atmosphere, but moisture is mostly in the atmosphere 99.9% of the time. And here it is. And let me show you what's really going on here. Is this candle coming up from below a table surface? It's not, right? This is the setup. Here's the camera. Here's the atmosphere. And here is the candle just being pulled away as it's going away across this flat plane. This is what we perceive. The sun setting below the table. Your mind can't wrap your mind. Most minds can't think of this because we weren't taught to think this way. Creativity was shut down. That's 40% of our brain that they tell us we don't use, and imagination that was another 20%, 30%. Right? They don't want us understanding, and they want us understanding, standing under their rule. Whatever they say, we must stand under it. Okay? I don't understand anything. I think for myself. I understand things.
Okay, fair. So we say that the atmosphere acts as a dome, as a magnifying lens, and it's optical illusions, and it's over the distance. I'm with you on all of that. Fine. But that being said, then why isn't the sun itself should be lighting up the entire world at one point?
I just showed you. I just showed you that the sun takes its light with it. Okay. Right. I showed you that. And so it can't be lighting up the entire world. Go in a dark room, get a big circular table, right? Get a flashlight, a light, and just hold it, like a little distance, like a half a foot above the table, and it will light up just one section of that table. The rest of the table will be dark. Now add some atmosphere in there, perspective. No one will ever be able to see it from the other distance, from the other places. My friends, during that sun fade out, my friends were in the darkness. It was nighttime for them, but I could still see the light. I could still see the sun, right? Here's the thing.
That's a concentrated. If you were to have a light bulb, not a concentrated beam like a flashlight, if you have a light bulb that has light going in all directions on a round table, all the table will have light on it at some point, regardless.
That's what you would think, but it's not the case. That's what you would think. Do the experiment yourself. Do the experiment yourself. So I have where is it? I had a good image, but now I don't know where it is. I had an image. There's a light on a brick wall, and it's just lighting up the bricks near it, and the rest of the wall is darkness. Right? Flip that over. It's the same thing. Right? Add atmosphere in there. Then as you go away, that atmosphere blocks you from seeing the light. Okay? You have to watch the perspective videos more, and then you'll understand how the light goes away. It's hidden behind an opaque atmosphere.
Okay, then talking about perspective, I brought up the example of a ship going onto the horizon, and you see it dissipates. That if it was a flat Earth model, that the ship would disappear all at once. Instead, you see how it goes up, and you see the very top sails go last. That's because it's going around the curvature. Explain this, sir.
So that's what you were told. It goes around the curvature. Bill Nye, the line guy with the bow tie, goes, "Oh, boats disappear. Like my fingernail is a boat. It disappears from the bottom up, and it disappears." Right? If we zoom in on it, you still can't see it because it's behind a physical curve, right? A ball of any size is required to have a physical horizon at a set distance according to spherical math. Okay? So our ball, again, you haven't done the work. You don't know what size our ball is. Well, they tell us it's 24,901 miles around. How'd they figure that out? You need a radius. How'd they figure out a radius? Aristophanes. Well, Aristophanes was proven wrong, so we don't even know the size of our ball. But let's just pretend it's 24,901 miles around. That means a 6-foot-tall person shouldn't be able to see the surface of calm water past 3 miles because it drops more than 6 feet. Therefore, I should see a physical horizon at 3 miles. Right? Okay. And anything that goes behind that should, but the problem is we see things way too far. Now, when you're looking into the distance, you have your sky and you have your ground, and they merge together in the distance, right? They merge together in the distance. And then if I zoomed in on that, I can't see anything past where my hands come together. But if I zoomed in on it, I could make it bigger and I could see. Then I can go farther in the distance and it would get small again. Okay. And so our horizon is optical, which says flat Earth. It's not physical. So we don't see a boat on this horizon. Okay. I'm zooming in. So what I'm doing is I'm making the angular size bigger. And as I make the size bigger, all of a sudden I can see there's a boat there. Okay.
That would keep going out. Eventually, no matter how much you zoom in, you would not be able to see it.
You're wrong, and you're right at the same time. The reason you won't be able to see it is, one, because of optics. It just becomes, the light becomes too distorted by the air, and it disappears. And I'm going to show you, listen, in this short podcast, I can't show you everything, but I'm going to show you where to go and do the research. You have a choice when we're done. You can believe you live in your crazy ball world, okay, to protect yourself from having to get this tattoo that you're going to have to get. Okay, it's going to be my mission for 2022. You're getting the tattoo. All right, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can I hide? Here's my finger, and here's a ball. Can I hide this entire ball behind my finger?
No.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Yes, you can if you move your finger closer.
Correct. So as it goes away, it can disappear behind my finger. Okay. Sure. Now, in all of the pictures that they show us of buildings and stuff, it's always a rough day. These little waves in the foreground will block this boat. So here we go. I'm going to zoom out, and you're going to watch this boat disappear from the bottom up. Now, it's still there. It's not going behind any curve, right? Look, the bottom of the boat's missing. It's all the way up to the window, the top, the angular size of everything gets too small. It disappears. A glober would say it went over the curb, but we just zoomed in. Today's consumer optics have proven that it's not behind a physical curve. It's right there. You just can't see it. And as we zoom in, there it is, right? These little waves are hiding it, right? My finger I'm 30 miles from New York City. My little finger can block out the entire city held at arm's length. Okay.
Right. So
right?
adverse lighthouse, same thing. They could see the very tippy top of the lighthouse before they could ever see the base when you're sailing up too.
There's many. So in one of the videos, 200 proofs, there's probably 25 lighthouse examples. According to globe math, you shouldn't be able to see this lighthouse past 20, 30, 40 miles, whatever it is, but they can see it farther. We can see things farther than than they tell us. Their geometric horizon has been completely debunked. Here's one. Okay, this is a spot in Aluja, France. Out here is Mount Canigou, 175 miles away. According to globe math, from this height, the top of the mountain, the very top of the mountain, it should be over a half a mile. I thought it was a mile, but I think it's closer to a mile, but over a half a mile below the curve. And guess what? You can't see it. Well, if I turned off all the lights in this room, you couldn't see me either because the light bouncing off of me wouldn't make it to your eyes because there is none. The sunlight bouncing off of Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to push all the way through that thick atmosphere, even on a clear day, so you can see it. So you can't see it. However, remember the sun migrates in between the tropics. Twice a year, it lines up with the viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And when it does, the sun's light is much brighter and can push that 175 miles. And when it goes beyond Mount Canigou, all of a sudden it backlights it. The very top of Mount Canigou right there should be far below the horizon, but it's not. It's right there. And you can only see this twice a year for like a day or two. Okay. And that's because it's here. Now the glober will go, well, the mountain is below the curve and the sun already set 10 minutes ago and it's refracting up and it's magically stopping at eye level. Okay. And that I just say, cool story, bro. There's nothing I can do to help you if you believe that nonsense. Look, this is not a mirage. This is not a mirage. It's right there. It's Mount Canigou. It's right there. The top of this mountain should be almost a mile below the curve, but it's right there. Therefore, doesn't mean the earth is flat. It means the earth is either 1,000 times bigger than they're telling us, which is another problem, or it's flat.
Okay, now explain the Coriolis effect to me then.
Which Coriolis fallacy would you like to talk about? Toilets spinning in the opposite direction in Antarctica? Completely and totally fake. That okay. Doesn't happen. I have sinks in my house and toilets in my house that go in opposite directions. It's just the direction that the water goes into the bowl. Now, yes, storms south of the tropics in the outer south tend to spin in one direction, and the ones inner tend to spin in another direction. That's because the sun and the moon, they're electromagnetic, and they produce a wake as they're cruising through, as they're going through the tropics. They're creating electromagnetic wake. Push your hand or a paddle through the water and you'll get opposite spinning vortices. However, sometimes a storm will come from the south, and when the sun and the moon are far away, it will cross the tropics and be spinning in the wrong direction. It happens every year. That alone proves that
I'm talking about, isn't it? Because I know what you're talking about as far as like having a toilet bowl spin the opposite direction. You can just have the water flowing this way or that way. That's an easy experiment to fix. However, there's YouTube videos all day long of guys that are actually on the equator. They do this as a tourist attraction, right? They have a little bowl. They have a couple of leaves in it so you can see.
Oh, my Lord.
The other side. On the equator, no. The other.
Yeah. So I didn't think you were going to go there, but that's So I'm going to show you how easily you're tricked. Okay, ready? Are you ready? Tell me you're ready. So if I hit the frequently asked question button here, and I go to Coriolis right here, and I pull up. Let me see if I can find the video real quickly. The P-Brain video. Where the heck is it? It's. We search for it. Here it goes. This is what they're showing you. So let me just jump forward a little bit. So here this guy is pouring. He's got the waters perfectly still. He pulls it out. It's right on the equator. Okay. This is Kent Hovind, a complete and total moron. Right. He's on the equator. And so it goes straight down. You have the perfectly still water. Now this guy's going to walk over 15 feet. Like the equator is a friggin' razor line. He goes over to the south. Now watch him pour the water into this bowl. Watch him pour the water. He starts at the center, but watch the second half of the pour. He's in the center, second half of the pour, he moves to the side. And now the water is spinning this way already. He'll
See,
pull the
that's not-
drain.
The video
What?
I've seen, they like wait for the water to settle and then pull the plug.
He
They don't-
didn't. He didn't. This is what they do all the time. And it's spinning. So now watch. It's spinning the opposite, the direction that he poured it into the basin. And now watch. He's going to walk over to the other side. He's going to walk literally 30 feet over to the other side of the imaginary equator and watch what he does with the water this time, coincidentally, right? This is all nonsense. So watch. He's going to start in the center, and then he's going to move over to this side. Oh, there he is on that side. And sometimes they put like a little cardboard thing in there, which doesn't stop the water from spinning. He pulls it out, throws the leaves in, and now it's spinning in the opposite direction. This is the dumbest kid's trick ever. This has discredited Ken Hovind 100%.
So the experiment that I saw, they didn't put anything in it. They actually waited a few minutes for it to stop spinning on its own and do everything.
Did you see it in person? Was there any editing done? And how do you know how long it takes the water to stop? He could wait 2 minutes. That water still would spin. Okay. Water will continue to move for quite a long time. So
unless I see my own eyes, it has to be a lie.
Well, no, unless you see it with your own eyes, you can't verify it. So you're believing something which is shown. I just showed you right there what a stupid trick that is. And even if the Earth was spinning, why the hell would it spin in the other direction? Why the water spin from just being slightly off the equator? It makes absolutely no sense. The other thing is, if I go is ships over the horizon. This is one where you haven't quite been able to get it yet. But if you scroll down to the fourth video, this guy right here. This one shows a ship in real time that goes out. Let me just jump forward a little bit. So you got this ship, and this girl does an amazing job. She's measuring things like, okay, this is equal to that and everything. And as this ship goes into the distance, it slowly disappears due to morphing. Right here, there's a mirror line. So this is actually a reflection of the ship. The actual horizon's up where my finger is. Okay, and then it goes farther. And what happens is the ship literally melts into the horizon. Okay, you can't see the bottom of the ship, right?
And you on the road making it look like it's wet, but when you get closer, it's just the heat waves refracting the light.
Well, again, yes, there's refraction and heat waves and miraging and all sorts of stuff, but there is no curve. We can see things too far. So I saw this, and when I was trying to debunk flat Earth, I saw all of these videos. I'm like, okay, I live on the water. And I went and bought a $1,000 camera tripod setup, the P900 super zoom camera. And I went down and I zoomed in on things that should have been dozens of feet below the curve, but they're not. I could see them. I could see a 10-foot high buoy that should be 66 feet below the curve, minimum. Okay. Now, some of the debunking sites go, you got your math wrong. It's not the drop. You have to split the drop because there's a hump in the middle, which is retarded. But I said, okay, you're wrong, but I'll give you the half of it. So that buoy should be 33 feet below the horizon. Why can I still see it? Why can I see people sitting on a beach 10 miles away from me? Okay. Why can I, when I'm sitting on the beach? It makes absolutely no sense on a globe. There should be at 10 miles, 66 feet of curvature. Okay. The globe requires a physical horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height. Most people melt down when they hear that simple equation, or 8 inches per mile squared. It's the same thing. They work the same. Oh, and over thousands of miles, yeah, it gets a little parabola, but over a couple hundred miles, it's accurate within inches. Okay, so we can see things too far. World is not a spinning ball.
So explain gravity then. You knew this was going to come up eventually. I would love to hear its take on how gravity works if we are, in fact, on a flat Earth model.
Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
So in the ball world, we have to believe that this is going on in Australia. Gravity's holding on trillions and trillions of tons of ocean, and guy can fly upside down on a jetpack, and cruise ships can be upside down. When in reality, gravity is not it's just a theory. Gravity, they used to be that mass attracts mass, but now they changed it to Newtonian, Einsteinian gravity, which is the bending of space-time. And they show us a cannonball on a fabric, and then they roll some balls around it. Okay. Well, why is that fabric bending this way and not that way or this way or that way? Right. It makes absolutely no sense. The bending of space-time is made up nonsense. Right. So Neil deGrasse Tyson says, gravity, we don't know what it is. It's 95% or 96% dark matter and dark energy, which is made up, but we have to have it. Otherwise, gravity doesn't work. And guess what? It doesn't work even with it, but they're admitting that they're making up 96% of it. Okay. 96% of it. So what is gravity? Well, the sun and the moon, we live in this giant free energy system, and that's provable. You got to start looking into Atari and these buildings and everything. The sun and the moon are the anode and cathode of the Earth battery system. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge. If you understand how the battery works, this is this big loop, this giant battery, and it's testable, measurable energy that we can pull from the Earth. So how can we test this? Well, the Earth has a negative charge, testable, measurable, scientifically provable negative charge. The Earth is not moving. You know, if you Google flat Earth or gravity, it'll say, oh, the flat earthers believe the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, which causes a downward force, right? No flat earther believes that. Just globies that haven't done any research that want to discredit flat Earth believe that flat earthers believe that. So the Earth doesn't move, has negative charge. The sky, the air has a positive charge. So anything you lift off the Earth is in that positive charge. The molecular weight of all of the atoms, look at the periodic table, the more molecular weight they are, the more positively charged they are. And that positive charge is attracted to the negative charge. Now, they even in the gravitational, Einsteinian, Newtonian world, they say that the electromagnetic force is like 10 to the 20th power more powerful than gravity. Okay? Gravity is a weak force, but the electromagnetic force is that many times more powerful than gravity? How can we test this? How can we test this?
Either because of gases. They're not positively or negatively charged, but they have different masses as you go down the scale.
Yes, they are positive and negative charge. Everything has a positive and negative charge. And the hydrogen and helium are lighter than the other gases that sit on the base of the Earth, and they produce a boosting force. Just like if you had a box of styrofoam pellets to the down to the size of a BB, you broke them all apart, and you pour marbles into that, all of the pellets are going to rise up and come right out as the marbles sink to the bottom because of density. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. Go ahead, but let me make my point, but go ahead first.
I was going to say noble gases, you can't charge them one way or another. They have the maximum amount of electrons on their outer ring. They can't be added or taken away from their noble gases.
And therefore, they're not attracted to the Earth as much as the other things are. That's it. I mean, I'm not saying you can change any of these things. I don't think you can change any of them. All right. But here's a little experiment we did. So we have what's it called? A Van de Graaff machine that could put a positive or negative charge into something. So here we got some helium balloons. We have them hooked up to this cable, which is hooked up to the Van de Graaff generator, and we have like a metal pin on here or whatever. And so it's neutrally buoyant. Okay. This is its balancing point. Now we're going to crank this up and add just a positive charge. Positive charge added. It got heavier. Why is it getting heavier?
So the molecules.
No, there's no molecules. They're just changing the charge potential of this thing, right? Discharge it, it goes up. So
when
what
you're adding electrons or taking away electrons on an atomic level, you are positively or negatively charging these atoms. They're able to do that.
So that is your belief. So explain this. We're adding negative charge to this, and it goes up. We add a negative charge to it, and it repels from the Earth. According to you, I'm adding more molecules to it, which I'm not. I'm just changing the charge potential. This is defying gravity or defying electromagnetism. Okay. MIT just made an airplane that doesn't have any moving parts. Okay. Doesn't have any moving parts. Right. How is that possible? Where did it go? Where's my MIT airplane? Maybe it's right here. Nope. I lost my
but fair enough. If that's true, I haven't seen that, but that would be phenomenal if they were able to make that and be able to safely put it on from point A to point B.
Well, it's just a model at this point, but this is hidden technology from us. Oh, here it is. So this is their model, and it uses what they call the ionic wind. It's changing its electric potential. We have maglev trains, one of the anti-gravity chains, right? We have this is gravity is a lie. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. And the Earth goes, hey, down is this way. That's all. That's all it says. Down is this way. It's a weak charge. Then buoyancy and density sort everything else out.
So you believe that gravity is strictly off of a magnetic pole?
No,
Not that
not at all. Not at all. It's electrostatic force. It's a dielectric. What is it called? An electrostatic. We live on this dielectric plane, and it's an electrostatic force. The Earth has this negative charge to it. It's attracting anything that's in the air, and this is measurable. You go up 1 meter. There's a 100 volts. 2 meters. There's 200. It goes up 100 volts every meter. Okay, and this is how they used to harvest free energy out of the air with all of these old buildings.
Yeah, they do with graphene wires. They're able to pull ions out of the air and power an entire laboratory over in Utah, if I'm not mistaken.
Very good. So now that's old world technology. That's what Tesla powered the world's fairs with. And then they took that away from us because we can't have free energy. We can't have airships that can stay in the air indefinitely. So they demonized hydrogen, and they demonized and they took over helium. NASA, with all of their satellites hanging from balloons, controls all of the helium in the world. By the way, we didn't finish on nuclear bombs. Crow 777 radio, two R's in Crow, CRROW 777 radio.com, episode 053 and episode 400. All you need to do is listen to 053, and you will understand that nuclear bombs are complete and total mind control. And once that happens, you literally unplugged half the cables from your body from the Matrix. And because no longer when you hear a politician or a world leader say something about a nuclear threat, nuclear bombs, we need to, then you just laugh. You go, oh my God, that guy's a total puppet, right? Just like Elon Musk, total puppet.
That being the case, do you believe the nuclear power plants are actually producing energy?
Absolutely. Nuclear power plants are steam engines. They're using a high-tech, not even that high-tech, they're using, plutonium to boil water and create steam and turn pistons. That's all it is. It's not making nuclear energy. It's making pistons, and the radioactive waste is nonsense. It's none of it's dangerous. Again, I don't have hours to go into this. Crow 777 radio.com. Listen to the episode 053, and you'll free yourself from the nuclear scare.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't heard of this before. Actually, today, Jonathan had brought it up to me, so I'm probably going to have to check this out here in the next day or two.
Dude, you have weeks and weeks of research to do to catch up on half the stuff I said. Listen, in my app, just let me show you real quick. I'm not here to sell apps. The app is $3, okay? It's no big deal. A homeless person can afford it. The frequently asked questions, that will answer all of your flat earth questions. We have tons of other resources. If you want to hear more of my interviews, right here, boom, tons of interviews. We have books, all sorts of stuff. And if we go over, I have a homeschooling section. Here's the first one is Crow. Check that out. And you want to learn about our history. John Levy, the second one, amazing. All sorts of stuff. Here's the reason. Why do I have all this in my app? It's because if you Google flat earth, you end up with nonsense. You end up with all of the stuff that they push to make you laugh at flat earth. They end up with all of the, programming, boats go over the horizon, sticks and shadows, seasons, right? They have you believing all of this nonsense. They want you to dismiss flat earth. And if you search, like one of the top videos you know what? I wasn't even showing you what I was showing you. Should have said something. If you go into, you should have said something, but that's right. This is the more resources down right here, flat earth videos. Watch that. There's in here is a list of videos. These are whistleblowers from the military. This is Level. By the way, the next level is coming out on Flat Earth Day, which is this Friday. And this one right here, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 questions. If you Google that, you probably won't find it. Even though it's got millions of views, it's been around for a long time, they'll feed you other propaganda. They don't want you seeing this because this one answers your top 21 questions in 3 or 4 minutes apiece, right? Once you watch these, then you're like, holy crap. And then you can start doing your own experiments and you can start asking your own questions.
And they DuckDuckGo, the founder, just came out a couple days ago. I don't know if you saw that. He was saying that we're gonna start eliminating all this side news stuff, right? Like all the alternative news and everything, and they're going to start pushing more mainstream news. And that's exactly the reason why a lot of people got away from Google and went to DuckDuckGo.
That's why I never went to DuckDuckGo. I saw that coming because I searched DuckDuckGo for the things that I'm telling you, and never once did they turn it up. I mean, I was trending huge. I went on DuckDuckGo, I searched my name, searched my stuff, nothing at all. None of my websites, nothing came up, right? So, by the way, the app is called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's cheap. It's $3. Just go read the reviews. Don't even buy it. Just go read the reviews, and that'll turn you into an anti-glober for sure. Okay. And the app also is amazing. So here, as I told you before, Flat Earth is growing. I'm going to hit the little handshake button, and up comes. Let's look at my area here. Let it load for a couple seconds, and these are the flat earthers that have my app. And there's many, many more that don't have it yet that are just near me. Right in that circle, 50 kilometers. There's 338. I can send them all a message. Hey, I'm having a meetup at Rico's Pizza on East Main Street Saturday at 4 p.m. and everyone shows up. It's a great way to use their technology to bring us together. If we look at, let me just click the number on the bottom left. This will bring me to a web version so I can zoom out farther. Look, these are flat earthers. Don't be the last person to get on the train. Okay. All of these people know the earth is flat. Let's get the UK. All of these people are awake. There's not that many people that would really go against mainstream unless this was rock solid. The earth is clearly not a spinning ball. And this is the key to our freedom because, they have us believing that we're useless, that we're powerless. Then that's the truth. Whatever you believe becomes your reality. They don't want you to know that your thoughts create your thoughts create your world. Everything you have in your world, including this podcast and everyone listening, everything you have in your world is the way that you think. If you think you're going to be paycheck to paycheck your whole life, you are. Okay. If you think that, whatever your thoughts, here's the biggest conspiracy. I don't know if you guys have looked into this. The universe, the earth system is conspiring to deliver every one of your thoughts to you, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Whatever you are focusing on, it is conspiring to deliver that reality to you. Okay? That's a fact. And once you understand that, you're going to be a lot more careful with your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your time.
Yeah, we know that, like just based upon the zodiacs and, well, this is what they say, but people who are into astrology and all that stuff, you can go and look at your astrology, for today, and it'll tell you what you're gonna experience and whatnot. And sometimes all that shit is wrong. I'm not saying that it's true or not. Well, what I'm saying is that the alignment of the planets or the alignment of whatever the lights are in the sky definitely plays some kind of role into our day-to-day lives.
I used to laugh at people that believed in astrology. How could Mars, 25 million miles away, that can't even affect the tides, affect my life? It's just a rock in space. When I find out Mars is right here within the Earth system, it's named after all of the wandering stars are named after gods, okay, which is fascinating. And when you look at Mars, it's not a rock in space. It's more of an energetic orb. What is this? Okay. So once you understand that, so here's the thing: astrologers look at all of the motion of all of the other planets. Okay. Well, why don't they take into the motion of the Earth? We're moving 4.4 billion miles a year. They use the Earth as a stationary plane, and it's because everything's relative to the Earth. But then once an astrologer, you can have a good astrologer that believes in the globe. Once an astrologer starts to understand the flat Earth model, they wrap their astrology over that, and then they become a more powerful astrologer. One of the best, smartest man out there that's into astrology is Mr. Astrotheology, Santos Bonacci, and he used to be a glober. But when he found out the Earth was flat, everything he's doing became way more powerful. Right? He is on it. Right?
Absolutely, love that guy.
Yeah. Santos is all he knows about the flat, immovable, non-moving plane. This is the star Arcturus. It's 211 trillion miles away. Okay? 211 trillion miles. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? Right? The inverse square law alone would make, its light impossible to see. Even not, I can't even say at a fraction of that distance because it just, you can't see. Light's like the surface of a balloon. You got a balloon not blown up, and the surface of that balloon is the amount of light You blow it up, it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner. I blow a balloon up to a foot wide. That's pretty thin. If I blew it up to a mile wide, is there any rubber left? Is there any light left? Did it completely fade out to nothing? Because light expands, right? 1 trillion seconds. You know how long? You probably do. Now, how long is 1 trillion seconds?
I have no
Top of
idea.
my head, I don't know. Give me a calculator.
Take a guess real quick, 5 seconds, and I'll give you a Bitcoin if you get it within a week.
Let's see.
5 years.
I would say 10.
Close. 31,000 years. Okay. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So if you're traveling at a mile per second, which no human has ever done, and you're going for 31,000 years, you are 1/25th of the way to the closest star, which is only 4 light years away. Okay. So if you went a mile per second for 1 trillion seconds, you only have to go do that 220 more times. Okay. Or 210 more times to get to this star. This is ridiculous. These are numbers that people just, oh, the number's too big. I can't deal with it. I'm going to trust a guy in a bow tie who lies. Okay. I'm going to trust, these failed actors, these non-scientists, these, well, it's in the book. Everyone can't be lying. My teacher told me it's nonsense. Okay. And when you wake up to this, everything changes.
Whenever we look at NASA, dude, I mean, everything about them is evil and deceptive.
Absolutely. And
like whenever we see, the moon landing, that was all fake bullshit.
Of course.
And then talk about how they got, dude, I get all these random ads pop up on Facebook about like futurism or whatever. And they're always talking about like the Mars rover and look at it, look at all the mountains and all that shit. I'm just like, this is the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life, because there's no way in hell that we could do all that. We can even send anything to these planets if they're that many miles away. Right. I mean, that doesn't
none of that makes any sense whatsoever. So, here's the thing. I believe in extraterrestrials.
Sure.
Right. But if they're coming from a planet like where the closest star is 4.5 light years, which is 25 trillion miles away, how the fuck are they getting here and crashing in Roswell? Okay. When the reality is we live here in the Antarctic basin. Okay. And so the shoreline of our world is the highest land on Earth. It's Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Did you know that? It is the container, the lateral pressure that holds our water together, right? We live in this basin. What's out here? What's out here? Well, you know what? In 1959, Admiral Byrd said there's more land out there bigger than the United States no human has ever set foot upon, filled with resources that can power the world forever or a couple hundred years. And there was Antarctic Treaty. All the countries in the world that are fighting forever all agree nobody can go explore Antarctica. It's the longest treaty in history, the most ridiculous treaty in history, and it's still in effect. So all of this separation of countries is all divide and conquer. It's all just getting people to believe, we have to protect against Russia and Iran and all of it. They're all in it together. It's all being run by the same people. Where do those people live? I think those people live out here. I think there's worlds out here, right? I think that, maybe our world is set up something like this, right? We live here in the inner space, and out here is extra territory, extra land, extra terra. If somebody lived on the extra terra and they came to visit me, what might I think they are?
Extraterrestrial.
And where are they coming from?
Outer space.
The outer space. Now, that's just a couple thousand miles away. I can understand them crashing in Roswell. They fucked up, right? They're coming here. They're going to get one of you and probe you as you're getting your tattoo, and they can make it back for dinner with the kids. Okay? All right? On the same day. And they're not traveling through infinite, ridiculous, scientifically impossible space. Okay? This is how the world could be set up. Or maybe there's nothing beyond Antarctica. Maybe there's nothing. Maybe there's more rings. Okay? Maybe there's more rings like this. Maybe there's other puddles, other basins with their own sun and moon and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. If you want to be biblical about it, and I don't want to be biblical about it, that this might be all that there is. Maybe beyond Antarctica is part of this world, but nobody actually put 2 and 2 together, right? It's kind of interesting. All right, so I've thrown out a lot of information here. You're not going to find it on Google. I highly recommend you guys get my app. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Now, there is a subscription, which is $11 a year. That's only if you want to be able to message other flat earthers. Like, hey, you want to, they can message you and tell you where Meetup is. You don't even need to be on, you have to pay for it. But if you want to send messages, it's $11 a year. Okay, period. The big deal. You bought me a margarita and you forgot to tip the bartender, right? And besides that, the app every day. Here's the thing. Every day, the app shows you another. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Where'd I go? The app shows you. What is going on here? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Every day, the app shows you a new featured video. Every day, there's a new video here. And here's the challenge. You want the 3 Bitcoins? You have to watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. Just tap that thumbnail. Up comes the video. The next videos that follow are not Google suggestions. They're my suggestions. So feel free to keep watching. But a lot of people go, that was interesting. I don't want to wait another day. So I'm just going to hit the archive button. You hit the archive button. There are all the videos from all the months from all of the years. Okay. Say goodbye to your life if you click that button. Okay. And start watching those videos. And then when you think you have one after 2 weeks, if you think you have a globe proof, make sure you hit the question mark button, go to the frequently asked questions, and make sure it's not answered there because it probably is. Right. Or if you really want to just jump into it, go to the web page and click this video, this right here. And these are some great movies, as I showed you before. You won't be able to get through 3 of them. Oh, the one that says my Flat Earth Journey, my Dallas presentation. This is by my friend Taboo Conspiracy Ben. I think this is the one where he points out that we'd all be dead if we lived on a ball. It's hysterical. It's very informative. And the reason you're going to laugh is because he's going to explain it to you in a way that you know is true. Whenever you find yourself laughing at something, ask yourself why you're laughing, and it's because it's true. Right? So the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, it's the best way to find information. If it wasn't my app, I'd still be pushing it.
Awesome, Dave. I mean, dude, I'm going to download that app as soon as we get off of this show because it seems super interesting. I've heard you talking about it on other shows, and it always seemed intriguing, but I've never actually seen the video of it being played with before. So I'm definitely going to download it, and I will I'll show it to Jacob, and maybe we can third eye a little bit on the flat Earth.
We'll see, man.
But, and even like when you're looking for trying to explain something to somebody. I mean, you guys know the moon landing was bullshit. I mean, look at this joke, right? But when you're explaining it to somebody, all of this stuff is at your fingertips. And I recently just added at the end a whole bunch of awesome memes that one flat earther showed me. This is loading for the first time because I just installed the test version. Awesome memes, awesome information. And just go through the pictures alone. That'll make you start questioning. The thing is, everything you came at me with was stuff that we've all been programmed to ask. I know every question you're going to ask me because I ask the same questions. I was like, boats over the horizon. Oh, all right, that's interesting. Sunsets. Well, why isn't it light? Why, what about Aristophanes, right? All of this stuff has been programmed. We all ask the same questions because we've all been programmed. Once you unplug from the matrix, the heliocentric matrix, the whole world changes. Your whole world gets better. It recenters you, right? If your cells are thinking that your body is spinning out of control through space, what does that do to you? What does that do to the power of your mind? It literally disorients it. It disconnects you. We are connected to the Earth system. We are part of this living system. All of the luminaries in the sky are part of this living system, right? They do affect us in every single way, right? Where everything is alive. Start looking into friggin' what rocks are, what mountains are, right? None of what they told us is true. Watch, if you hit the homeschool button, which is the little home there. Besides, if you're not subscribed to Crow, this is college for $8 a month. And you get 2 shows every week and then go back. You have 400 shows to catch up on. I tell anyone that has a kid, and even for an adult, listen to a kid that's supposed to be in college, don't send them to college. Send him somewhere cool to hang out. He listens to 2 new shows a week and 3 old shows every week. That's 5 courses a week, okay? Each one of those shows is like a full semester course in something actually useful to thrive in this world, okay? Those are the people that I'm hiring in the future. John Levy, amazing. The amazing 20, 30 minutes videos showing you how all of our history is a lie. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating. This is a series on science. Flat Earth Man just put out his new book based on his song, Gravity, and he's got other ones coming out. If you have kids, best way to teach them how to read and to fill them with truth. Amazing, amazing stuff. So,
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And there's something that, us in the conspiracy community, we say a lot in that it's easy to lie to somebody, but it's almost impossible to convince them that they've been lied to.
Sure.
That's something that we understand, because so many people y'all want to believe that there's one truth and this is true and this is true and this is true. We all want to be on the same page. But the problem with that is that propaganda is spread throughout all these different communities, especially in school, throughout the government. Everything that we learn, they all want us to believe all the same thing, and that's the problem. Is that they do want us just to believe it. We're not getting any proof of it. It's just here. This was written in this history book. This is why it has to be true. But there's no research into it. We're just believing the words on the page, and that's why we love to have people like you come on the show, Dave. I mean, you are an absolute stud at trying to describe all this stuff, and I'm definitely going to be downloading your app. Dave, do you have any parting words as we're wrapping up here, sir?
Here's the thing. Believe nobody. Do your own test. The problem is they've hidden all the doors from us. We don't see them because we've been programmed that there's a wall there.
Right.
We've been programmed that we live in this heliocentric bullshit. Excuse me. I choked on my tea. On this heliocentric bullshit system, but other people go, well, you're dome, you're trapped in the system. I don't believe we're trapped in anything. I think that this realm we live in is truly amazing. No flat earther. I've asked everyone that's a flat earther, are you ever bored? And the answer is not for a second ever. If I'm stuck in traffic, in a long line, insomnia, whatever, we're never bored because there's so much to learn. I mean, there's so many different things to see, and it's endless. If they gave me 60 hours per day, I still wouldn't have enough time. Okay, because it's amazing. The thing that we say is sleeping's for globers, because flat earthers don't sleep because we're constantly learning new stuff. So here's the thing, why the lie? This is the most important secret that the elite have. This is the way they keep control over us. It's the Matrix. It's literally the Matrix. If you haven't seen the original Matrix in a long time, go watch it. It's a documentary. And if you want to see a video about where we are, go watch Idiocracy and stop at about halfway, 3/4 of the way through. That's where we are right now. We're in the middle of the fucking movie Idiocracy. The world was a way more advanced place 100 years ago, right? Watch my video on Ruth. This Friday, Flat Earth Day, we've taken over Earth Day. It's now Flat Earth Day. The movie Level is coming out. The Next Level by Hibbler Productions. It'll be featured on the app that day, and you have to rent it. It's the first time I've ever put a movie that you have to rent or buy. I think it's $5 or $7 to buy it. Or if you don't want to spend the $5, wait 2 weeks and it'll be free on YouTube. Okay. So again, information is free, but information, doing this stuff costs money. Why am I charging $3 for my app? Because my server bills are approaching 5 figures a month. Okay. So that's why I charge, because I can't do this for free. And, this is my job now. And everything I take goes right back into the app, gets better and better and better. So there we are.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Dave. I mean, it was an absolute pleasure having you on.
As of now, there's no tattoo going on my body. I haven't been convinced. You did bring up some very compelling arguments. You brought some very some in-depth information that I will be looking into on my own, of course.
Do me a favor. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead. Get the app. Watch the daily video every day while you're having your breakfast, the lunch break, whatever it is. Just hit that video. Maybe watch the next video. Maybe hit the frequently asked questions. If you're bored one night, you're like, hey, what am I going to do? Don't turn on the TV. Throw that up on the big screen and watch one of those flat earth movies. Just watch one. All right. Highly entertaining, even if you don't believe it. They're really well made. I mean, it's like, wow. Right. And just start watching them and don't believe anything. Just start understanding what flat earth is, because globers don't understand what it is. And then I guarantee you'll be like, oh, fuck, do I get the tramp stamp, Dave, or do I get the one full of body chest tattoo? And here's the thing. I got something for you. We have some amazing tattoo artists in the flat Earth community. I'm sure I can get them to do it for free on you. All right.
If and when that time comes, we'll see, man. I'm down.
All right. Where are you guys? You're in Louisiana. Some of our we have some great flat earthers in Louisiana. In October, I get that right. So October, we have Flattoberfest in South Carolina. And it's worth the trip. People from all over the country, all over the realm come to this. It's a 3-day festival. It's super fun, amazing people, and people it's 6 months away, and people are already like, can't wait. Such a good time. Day in the park the first day, and then 2 days of the conference, music festival. Super great time. Something to think about. It's in the app under the shopping cart button. Get your tickets. Flattoberfest.
I gotta look into that. That sounds fun. At least, I mean,
dude, you will meet so many cool people. And the other thing on the app, you can start a meetup, right? There's people that are they're using it as a dating app because you can put a profile in there, and then anyone on there, any one of those blue dots, they don't get this, they don't believe nonsense. They're awake to everything, and they're like, wow, that's a compatible person as a partner, as a friend, as an employee, as an employer. Okay, people used to say to us, oh, you're a flat earther, good luck getting a job. I say, you're a glober, good luck getting a job, because flat earthers only want to hire flat earthers, and flat earthers really only want to work for other flat earthers. We're growing so fast, we're eliminating globers, right? We don't want them. They're not open-minded. Like if I wanted to hire somebody, I needed somebody local for my local business, a restaurant, landscaping, whatever it is, print shop. Okay. I would click on some of those dots, see who's interested in work, because they check that off. And I'd say, hey, if you're interested in work, I already know where you are. You're local. That's important. You're awake and aware. That's amazing. You're an intelligent person learning the job. That's the easy part. When you hire somebody, it's what type of person are they? How do they think? Right? That's all every one of those blue dots is a perfect candidate. The question is, it's just meeting up. So people are meeting up. People are already getting married. People are getting jobs. People are starting companies together. Amazing opportunities coming. 2022 is the year of flat Earth, and watch out, big things are coming.
Let's go. I'm stoked. Dave, I mean, you are the man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Jacob, any parting words for you, sir?
Oh, man, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope to have you back on here soon.
All right, I will definitely come back on. Just take a little time, start watching some videos, and write down more questions when you have them, and let's go over them.
Let's do it, man. Sounds like a plan.
Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you for coming on to the show, and thank you for listening to the Cult of Conspiracy. And there's one very important, extremely vital piece of information that we just need you to do to even be able to grasp the concept of flat Earth. Open up that third eye.